Okay guys, a little bit of a forewarning. If you watch this whole episode, it's going to absolutely ruin this show if you haven't seen it, and at this point, maybe I'm actually a little less worried about spoilers and more worried about you guys talking about a show that you haven't seen as if you had seen it. At least I know I tend to do that when I watch video game reviews and I haven't played the game. But anyway, let's move on. Please, teacher guys, this show is really special to me. Let me see if I can adequately explain why. So when this show came out, the only way I could get a hold of anime was to buy it online, which almost every penny I earned working at the local arcade was dedicated to. Having read online once about a romantic comedy that involved a marriage and aliens, Please Teacher sounded like a good time. I was already pretty much hooked on romantic comedies since Love Hina, but this one offered something special that no other anime could. I was the main character. I don't know how well this holds up in you guys' eyes, but I've always thought I had a striking facial resemblance to Kei. That being the case, I started to joke a lot about trying to find my own Miss Cosme, as thus far I'd been rather unsuccessful at keeping a girlfriend. And then I met her. I briefly mentioned her in the Villains List episode. I'm not going to get into our relationship because, well, that's rude, and suffice to say we had some good times, some bad times, and some really, really bad times. Ask me in person if you ever see me at a con. I might tell you if you buy me a drink. Anyway, because of all this, watching this show now is something of a nostalgic trip for me, bringing back my first cosplays and conventions to hot summer days filled with smiles and cold nights spent sleeping on floors. But I promise this show has more than nostalgia. It's really quite excellent in theme, character development, artistic execution, and of course philosophy. So the basic premise of the show is that there's this teenager, Kei Kusanagi, who has this condition where, whenever he's stressed out or, I guess, distracted, he falls into what he calls a standstill, a sort of cryogenic sleep where his body functions stop and he goes comatose. So Kei has just recovered from an especially long standstill, one that went for over 2 years actually. When he got out of it, almost everyone he knew had moved on with their lives and he couldn't relate to people around him. Add to that, he was apparently something of a huge burden for his parents. Left with few options, his kindly doctor uncle takes him in and cares for him. Kei gets the ball rolling again and makes a few new friends, but is still having issues making meaningful connections to those around him. He would rather spend time alone, as far away from people as possible, rather than hang out with the people that care about him. But through a series of rapid and life-changing experiences, he ends up meeting a beautiful, half-human alien. Getting caught in a disadvantageous situation with her, he agrees to say that they are dating to keep her secret. Getting caught in another disadvantageous situation, he agrees to marry her to keep their first secret. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. And you'd expect a show like this to move really fast, jumping from bit to bit rapidly, but the pacing is perfect, and the drama never seems forced, and it has some really funny moments. The show accomplishes this mostly by ignoring the whole "my teacher's an alien" subplot and focusing more on the troubles of keeping a marriage secret, issues of intimacy, passion, and what it means to be in a relationship. So you guys remember my rule of 3, right? Well, it fits super perfect into this show. Maybe because each subplot assists in asking a specific question. The broad question that Please Teacher asks is obviously something about relationships. I'd phrase it like this. What does it take to make a great relationship? Consider Mr. and Mrs. Kusanagi. Both sweet and sensitive individuals that are trying to forge a relationship, but they keep running into hiccups. Be it work, or distractions, or jealousy, or a lack of sexual intimacy, there's a lot of issues they have to work through. Eventually they find a path to success, basically through undying love. Love was the key to their relationship. But consider another couple on the show, Hyosuke and Kaede, one brash and brazen young man and one shy little sweetheart. They make it clear that they love each other, but also that love in this case isn't enough. Eventually what brings them together is a determination to work towards a common goal. Finally, consider yet another couple, Kyoshi and Mr. Yamada. It's dependability that they needed. Now this isn't an unusual question to ask. It's one I'm sure we've all asked ourselves before. What makes a great relationship? Maybe there's no solid answer, but it's at least something to think about, and that's all that a broad question ever needs to be. On to specifics. To me, this anime asks this. Happiness is a fleeting and temporary emotion, and the more happiness we obtain, the more we want. But to understand happiness at all, we have to know sadness, which seems like a contradiction. Is it possible in this contradictory roundabout to feel only happiness, to cut out that sadness? The question is slowly spelled out throughout the second half of the series, the first being spent mostly on exposition. Every character has periods of ups and downs, from Hyosuke being Mr. Happy to Mr. Frumpy Poor Me a Girl Kissed Me, to Ichigo being a miserable matchmaker to finding satisfaction in her own life. but no one goes through more ups and downs than Kei. I hear it a lot that Kei actually had something of Shinji syndrome, and that he was always flip-flopping emotionally, and actually that's really true, but it's kind of vital to his character. See, even when good things happen to Kei, he has trouble accepting them because, well, and this is super major spoilers, his sister poisoned his mind. As the story goes, Kei's older sister had realized that life was filled with emotional ups and downs. Having come into a state of happiness, she wanted to remain in that state of happiness. The only way she could think to do this was to, well, kill herself by jumping off of the school roof. That not being enough, she informed her younger brother of a reason why she was jumping, and what's more, she told him that he too can remain in a state of happiness by coming to a standstill. Thus, boom, 2-year standstill begins. Now, I don't know about you, but that's an incredibly powerful message, to me at least, a warning, if you will, of the danger that bad philosophy can do. So let's wrap this up with the answer to that specific question. Is it possible to cut the sadness out of your life and just feel happiness? Well, I'd say that the show says no. Not if you want to live anyway. The ebb and flow of happy and sad in life is unstoppable, and the only way to deal with it is to keep moving forward. Now, all that in mind, let me recommend only one book, Søren Kierkegaard's Works of Love, for being the only book about the philosophical value of romantic love and even talking about working through tough times with love. It seems tailor-made for Please Teacher, and it's a pretty easy read if you ask me, mostly because it makes you feel all warm and fuzzy. Well, thanks guys for listening. I'm sorry about my lack of updates. I'll get right on it, I swear. The whole Middle East thing is behind me now, and now that it is, I'm ready to show you alien knowledge from new and exciting places.